I know every comment is going to be like, you need to get a haircut, you need to get a haircut. I've heard it before. Mop head. I know, I look horrible. Shut up. Lost media is a topic that I'm into because it genuinely fascinates me. The stories of video games or just any other media that's been lost and never been recovered before is so fascinating. And you can definitely see that by looking at my channel. I mean, my last video was about lost media. I did a video on Happy Wheels TV show a while ago, which is a real thing that exists, that had lost media about it. But I think it's time I finally cover lost media from talking about one of my favorite game developers ever, Valve Corporation. Ever since their inception in 1996, there have been tons of lost games that have never seen the light of day created by Valve, and some of them leaked onto the internet, some of them we've just heard of, some of them are Half-Life 3, which is definitely coming out soon, guys, keep on holding hope. They've also spread themselves across so many services, consoles, PC games that you didn't think actually existed, so of course they have some sort of weird back catalogue of stuff that really doesn't exist. In this video, I'm going to be talking about some of my favorite Valve lost media. If there's some I missed that you really want me to talk about, comment down below, I might do a part 2. But if not, please enjoy the video. Welcome to the Peers Club. Get Your Free TVs is one of the most famous and well-known Half-Life 2 memes. It's a line said by series writer Mark Laidlaw on a tech demo that was shown off at a computer graphics showcase called SIGGRAPH in 2000. This was known to the public via Jeff Keighley, who at the time was a writer at GameSpot, rather than doing the Game Awards. Thank you Jeff Keighley. Please keep baiting me into releasing Half-Life 3. He posted a screenshot of the Free TVs line, and that was all that was known to the public for a very, very long time. This was until the 20th anniversary of Half-Life 2, where Valve not only made an incredible 2-hour-long Half-Life 2 documentary, but also finally posted a bunch of old demos that hadn't seen the light of day in years, including the SIGGRAPH 2001, finally showcasing the full clip of Get Your Free TVs to the public in the highest quality we have it in. There are a ton of lost and cancelled TF2 weapons that Valve weren't really confident on shipping, and while some of them I'm like, damn, that would have been so cool, on most I'm kind of like, thank Christ that wasn't added. I think a weapon that would have been really cool to see would have been the Handy Partner, a way to build mini dispensers in line with the mini sentries that you can build with the Gunslinger. While something like the Big Bomb would have replaced all of Demo Man stickies with one big bomb. I'm kind of glad that wasn't included. That would have been really, like, what the fuck. There's actually a whole TF2 wiki page dedicated to how many weapons, game modes, classes, and maps they didn't make it in the game. But I don't want this video to be me reading a whole wiki page off, because that's just lame, so I'm just going to pick some more of my favorites. The nail gun, tranquilizer, and syringe were all shown off in early TF2 trailers, and always looked how the syringe looked. It would have been such an iconic melee weapon. I also think the backpack would have been a really great addition to Scout's roster. Being able to pick up health and ammo off the battlefield and drop it to allies would have been really cool, maybe leaning too much into support, but definitely would have given Scout a really good support angle. Teebo and Kai was a project commissioned by Valve and developed by Escape Factory, the developer behind the classic PC game Overball, everyone's favorite. In 2000, Microsoft were first entering the console market with the Xbox and reaching out to several developers to get exclusive games for the console, and one of these developers was Valve Corporation.
The story of how Teebo and Kai came to be is actually kind of foggy. There was a video released by Tyler McVicker of Valve News Network about it, but that has now been delisted as many employees of Escape Factory came out and their stories contradicted what Tyler had said, so I assume he just delisted the video for that reason. What can be assumed is that Microsoft and Valve were in some sort of deal to make some games on the Xbox, and Escape Factory were also working on Teebo and Kai around the same time when being contacted by Valve, as it was also developed for the PC. Teebo and Kai was never meant to be anything more than a demo, however.
Teebo and Kai was meant to be an action platformer on the Gold Source engine that would also have online features. It seems like a really neat, colorful looking game full of alien planets, caves, caverns, like all these really like Nintendo-like worlds, which is pretty interesting to see from Valve and Microsoft together, two studios I do not associate with that vibe at all. From August of 2000 to March 2001, Escape Factory worked on a demo of Teebo and Kai for Valve in their offices, and while the demo was made, Valve passed on the project, and Tyler McVicker stated this was to make a port of Team Fortress Classic on the Xbox instead, which we'll talk about later. Prospero was one of Valve's first games, even being developed alongside Half-Life 1. It was supposed to release shortly after Half-Life 1, but kept getting delayed. Eventually it was supposed to release after Team Fortress 2, but then was ultimately cancelled. Mark Laidlaw, future writer of the Half-Life series, was heavily involved in the project, calling it a science fantasy epic. The story, which was found in a leaked copy of Raising the Bar Half-Life 2's book, was where the library, the hub world of the game, was under attack by an alien intelligence, and tried creating different versions of the player, and then left and got mad. So the library brings back the player from a younger age, going around the worlds finding different versions of themselves to defeat the big bad alien. The gameplay was meant to be very heavily focused on exploration with psionic abilities. This eventually evolved into an MMO with user-generated content and content created by Valve, where you'd explore the worlds and kind of seam together the story based on that. Prospero eventually turned into many different Valve projects, like Half-Life, Portal, and even Steam itself. Screenshots leaked throughout the years, mainly through the YouTuber Valve Time, where you can definitely sort of see this sci-fi influence of the striking geometry and interesting worlds. It's sad that focus was lost on Prospero, but I'll be honest, I'm kind of glad we got what we got in the end. Steam, Portal, and Half-Life are games I would definitely want to have over an MMO that's definitely shut down now. Half-Life Hostile Takeover is one of my favorite bits of Valve Lost Media, mainly because it's fan service at its core. This was going to be a Half-Life expansion not developed by Gearbox, but rather 2015 Inc., who've done work on the Medal of Honor series. It took place in Allied Processing, which you'd play the role of a junior G-man and would star the Team Fortress mercenaries, which is super cool, honestly. It's just such a shame this project didn't see the light of day. Now we're going to talk about, I think, one of the biggest losses in Valve history, the lost Team Fortress 2 cartoons. As reported on by Tyler McVicker in 2019, Adult Swim, known for Eric Andre, Venture Bros, Rick and Morty, Smiling Friends, and so many other great shows, were going to be releasing a Team Fortress 2 television series inspired by the Meet the Team videos. Adult Swim and Valve already had a pretty good pre-existing relationship, with hats being inspired by Venture Bros and TF2, ads for TF2 were being run on Adult Swim, but this was going to be something big. Ashley Birch, the voice actor for Miss Pauling, would have been writing the show alongside Nathan Vetterlin. Unfortunately, as said by McVicker in his video, Valve Time was the reason this one was cancelled. Adult Swim had ordered 12 11-minute long scripts from Valve, and after a year, Valve only presented one 20-minute long script. Not exactly what Adult Swim ordered. Adult Swim just decided to cancel the series because of how difficult it was to work with Valve. The 20-minute script eventually got shortened down and turned into Expiration Date, which if you've seen it really stings a lot because Expiration Date is one of the greatest things to come from TF2. It's such a fun animated short, and if we got 12 of those, oh my god, that would have been incredible. It is such a shame this got cancelled. While Valve have always been a pretty PC first company, they definitely have stuck their feet into the console market a couple times. As mentioned in the Teebo and Kai section, Valve are working on a Team Fortress Classic port for the original Xbox, which I think would have been really interesting to see. Team Fortress 2 took 9 years to develop, from 1998 to 2007, so I think this console port releasing in between that definitely would have impacted the series in a large way. Team Fortress Classic never appeared on the Xbox, which is kind of sad. We did still get ports of Counter-Strike and Half-Life 2, and how did they get Half-Life 2 running? I know I said it earlier. How did they get Half-Life 2 running on that thing? Obviously, the more well-known Valve lost console port is Half-Life for the Dreamcast. I know it's technically not lost media because we have it, but I still feel like talking about it. It's my video. You just skip to the next section. This was being worked on by Captivation, now defunct studio that made a bunch of Dreamcast demos and Gearbox content. Captivation would handle doing the port of Half-Life to the Dreamcast, while Gearbox would handle doing exclusive content, such as a campaign called Blue Shift and the HD models. It would also include a second disc with Half-Life Deathmatch, Counter-Strike, and Team Fortress Classic on it. After numerous delays from 2000 to 2001, something terrible happened. The Dreamcast failed. Sierra, Valve's publisher at the time, saw the product as no longer profitable, so the port was cancelled just a few weeks before it was released, banking Captivation in the process. Playable builds of the game has released, along with Randy Pitchford still having the gold copy of it on his desk. And eventually all the exclusive content did make its way to PC, but it still sucks because I'll be real, I have such a soft spot for the Dreamcast, I kinda just wish it got more content. Left 4 Dead 3 has surprisingly been spoken about a ton over the last 10 years, but nothing really solid has materialized about it. It's been suspected and spoken about over the last few years, but it was finally given a full look at in Jeff Keighley's The Final Hours of Half-Life Alyx, an incredible book. Jeff Keighley, Game Awards, his journalism work is genuinely incredible, and I really recommend you check out The Final Hours of Portal 2 and The Final Hours of Half-Life Alyx when you're done with this video. They're both incredible reads. The book covered the 12-year gap between Episode 2 and Alyx, and development of a Left 4 Dead project on Source 2 started as soon as the engine did, with this remake of the house from the Plantation campaign of Left 4 Dead 2 being one of the first things done on Source 2. This was in 2010. Jesus, Valve, never change. How did you make that? This turned into nothing until a few years later in 2013, where Left 4 Dead 3 was put into development officially, with it taking place in Morocco and having a new feature where you could build bases. Do you think that they saw Fortnite? Because it was eventually cancelled. This was due to problems with Source 2 not being finished, however, yet it was restarted in 2015, yet was cancelled again soon after. This is super unfortunate to me because I really love the Left 4 Dead series. If you guys seen my video playing every single Valve game, you know how much I loved playing those games. And especially after Back 4 Blood releasing in 2020, I definitely want Valve just to come out and show everyone how a good zombie shooter is done. F-Stop is one of the most secretive projects in Valve's history, mainly because of how good they thought the idea was. Portal 2 wasn't supposed to be what we know as today, but rather an entirely new concept taking place in the Aperture Science world called F-Stop. F-stop is a term for cameras, which is how much light enters the sensor of the camera, hence brightening or making an image darker. Please take that description with a grain of salt, I know fucking nothing about cameras. A lot of the information we knew about f-stop is from the book by Jeff Keighley called The Final Hours of Portal 2. In this we get to see some exclusive screenshots of f-stop, with the two most important ones being a room in overexposed lighting, then that same room in completely different lighting, where the elements of the room are different. Even when Valve were more than happy to show off rejected elements of Portal 2, they still kept f-stop a very tightly closed secret.
I'm not actually going to go into the details of the mechanic because hopefully someday we'll use it again.
However, as iconically said in The Final Hours of Portal 2, Newell looked around the room and slowly acknowledged the obvious. We are making Portal 2 without portals, he said before slamming his head against the desk in defeat. F-stop was officially cancelled and Portal 2 went on to be one of the greatest games made in history. Decent trade-off in my opinion. F-stop was somewhat revealed to the public in the game Superliminal if you've seen that game. Tristan Halcombe, otherwise known as Box and Rocks, a very prolific member of the Source modding community with works like Punt and G-String, will become more relevant to the story in about 30 seconds said on MinMax's podcast that the Dollhouse section in Superliminal was taken from a Valve demo of F-stop. F-stop would be more clearly shown off in the game Exposure, which Halcombe was involved with. Exposure was a mod for Portal 2 which attempted to reuse the f-stop mechanic and build into a full game. This was the first time the public would be very clearly shown what f-stop was. Valve had even fully approved Exposure, which is pretty weird knowing how secretive they were about it in the first few years of Portal 2's development. Unfortunately, some drama occurred between the developers of Exposure and Valve, meaning that the project was officially cancelled and tried to be wiped from the internet. However, builds have leaked over the last couple of years, and while they do have playable stages, it's not in the best condition. Thank you so much for watching this video. I really hope you enjoyed learning a bit more about Lost Media. I swear, not every video from here on out is going to be Lost Media. It's just that I found this script from a couple of months ago and I was like, damn, that was a great time researching all that. I'm going to go finish it and make it into a full video. So yeah, hopefully next video will be a little bit different. But either way, thank you so much for watching. Have a great rest of your day. Bye.